Yo, what's up, y'all? It is Dog Talk Tuesdays on a Wednesday. Thank y'all for joining in as we continue the second part of the Temperament series. Today, we are going to discuss the dominant drive in dogs. Rhodes, what's up, man? Thanks for joining in. Coming in from Bakersfield. I always forget you're in Bakersfield. Thanks for tuning in, brother. Who else we got? Dom in here. It's about that time exactly. That garlic and man. Okay. So the hot sauce we were supposed to be taking was this. I just got it in yesterday. My daughter said I've actually had it before. I guess they serve it at the restaurant she works at. But hey, yo, I had heartburn all night from that between the garlic and the Tabasco. I had to use Tabasco instead. But I did taste it, and this is no joke. So I'm glad that mine didn't show up in time because Raul and Bobby, they were all struggling, dude. They were all struggling. That was bad news, dude. But the garlic though, man, I love garlic, but I had no idea that that just biting a clove of raw garlic was that. I'm feeling it now just talking about it. I had no idea that biting a clove of raw garlic was that strong. That was bad news. So yeah, I got lucky. Mine didn't show up in time. So because I can't imagine doing that stuff. What is this stuff? Extreme regret, it's called. This is it. Extreme regret. So I got lucky I didn't have to do the extreme regret hot sauce plus the garlic plus the lemons. That was just bad setup. I don't know what made Raul come up with that idea. But it was fun. It was hilarious. And seeing the pictures afterwards of us struggling to get through it was hilarious. But yeah, but we in here now. I recovered. My heartburn is gone, and I'm back. Rose pups looking. Yes, I saw the pups. Rose, they are looking good. They're looking very good. Let's see. Pretty Eye Pits, what's up? Thanks for joining in. We got WKRK9 said now that Daryl has pumped his gut, we're back. What's up, man? Yeah, that was a struggle, dude. That was and then biting the garlic, it's like it just starts burning the sides of your tongues. And it's here I am telling people how good garlic is for their dog, and then I'm struggling to eat through it. So that was wild. I had no idea. Rosa, I appreciate it, brother. I take pride in what I do. Yes, he does. That's all my hard work and dedication. Eric Maxwell, what's up, man? Thanks for joining in. Let's see who else is in here before we get started. Everybody got their $5 ready for questions. Exactly. Maurice, what's up, man? Thanks for joining in. We got QB in California in the house. Pretty Eye Pit said, I'm just playing. Blood Love Bully said, hell yeah, I ain't get to catch one of these lives in a minute. Good. Glad you're able to make this one. Glad you're able to join in. Here we go. We're going to talk. We got bully lovers in here, band dog lovers in here, pit bull lovers in here, American bulldog lovers in here. So we getting it all. I notice it's growing. Dan G said, what's up to everybody? Ace 900, Raymond of Demon Light Bullies tuning in from Oklahoma. There we go. Oklahoma's in the house. Family First Kennel say, yo, yo, glad I caught the live. Hope all is well with the fam. Everybody's doing good. Hopefully your family's doing good too. We just, man, it's been a hectic week. We are headed to Arkansas on the 25th. My son and I are going to be driving out there. My wife will be flying out there. I think the house should actually be ready around the 1st, so we'll be kind of staying in the rough and rugged hunting house until everything is set up. Movers are supposed to be here. Ooh, no, I got a dumpster showing up this Friday to get rid of junk that we're not taking. Movers are supposed to be here on the 25th. Once they pack everything, then we're about to make that drive and head on out. So yeah, this is going to be a exploration of a new frontier for my family. Kyle Holland was in the Kyle. It was a couple moments Well, I thought I saw you crying, dude. I thought I saw you crying with that hot sauce and garlic, dude. That and it was your wife dumping you under the bridge. You're constantly paying for it. That was funny. Let's see. Fatima says hard to follow Dog Talk Tuesdays. What you mean it's hard to follow Dog Talk Tuesdays? I know today we switched it. It's on a Wednesday, and because of my move and everything, there's been Tuesdays where I haven't been able to do it, but I'm gonna try to be more consistent with you guys. It's just been rough, and some days the timing is just off. But we're gonna get it there. And once the move is over, we're gonna be back to normal. Betsy Spirit Rider is in the house. We got Casper. What's up, man? Thanks for joining in. About the business bullies. Salute. Congratulations on new beginnings. Thank you, man. Thank you. I'm excited. Rose said, I swear I saw him crying too. Yeah, I thought Kyle was in. We were all struggling, but I think Kyle shed a few tears on Monday. Laugh out loud, bro. I was sweating my ass off, bro. Exactly. That was a good time. So let's get into it. Today's topic is part 2 of the Temperament series. The whole purpose in this series is we often talk about the phenotypes of the dog, color, merle pattern, show rings, and all these things that the dogs don't even care about or know exist. And one of the phenotypes that we often forget about, especially as time goes by and life gets easier and easier and technology takes over and we got all these different social groups, when it comes back to that one social group that man bonded with, which was the dog, a lot of times we forget about temperament. There's a lot of things I look at as negatives that I see other dog people, that dog men and dog women that I talk to, see as a negative. I think in the bully community is really struggling. Everybody is so hard up on the standard, except when it comes to the temperament of the dog, a confident dog, zest for life, an exuberant willingness to please. So the whole purpose in this is to focus on the part of the standard that a lot of people don't focus on. And at the same time, like I said, we got pit bull breeders in here. We got American bulldog breeders in here. We got game dog breeders in here. And we have a lot of people in here on these lives that have a lot of experiences. Most of you guys have seen. You'll ask me a question. I don't get to it for 30 minutes, but there's 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 other people in the comments that have answered your question. And that's one of the things that I love about Dog Talk Tuesdays is you can definitely get your questions answered. But we have taken a twist. We've added a series to focus on temperament and just bringing the best out of our dogs mentally, physically, things like that. So today we're going to talk about dominance drive. At the end of the series, we will start talking about how to bring this all together. So last week we did prey drive. This week, or actually the week before last, we did prey drive. Missed last week, and then this week we'll be focused on dominance drive. And then always remember, when people talk about temperament, breeders talk about a dog having a good temperament. Temperament is made up of a bunch of various drives. All dogs have the same drives. The only difference between dogs and breeds when it comes to drives is their thresholds. So today we're going to talk about dominance, and hopefully you guys are able to take something from it and put it into use with your dogs, your dog husbandry, whether it be just owning a dog as a pet, performance, breeding, whatever it is that you may do. Hopefully this series assists you in doing that. When it comes to dominance, as of the last 10 to 15 years, dominance has become this bad word. Cesar Milan, who I think is a great dog trainer, is very into be the dominant member of the pack. And he had a couple situations that he obviously wasn't embarrassed of because they made it on TV, onto his show after all the editing and everything was done. And a lot of people got into dog training because of Cesar Milan, and then people in the dog training world flip things and change things to gravitate people away from Cesar and his way of training. which is, if you notice, now people all of a sudden they don't like Caesar. But those same people never would have gotten into dog training if it wasn't for Caesar. The word dominance in the dog world has, for some strange reasons, become a bad word. It is something that we're supposed to pretend does not exist. But dominance is a huge factor in the world of dogs as they relate to each other and as they relate to us. So any trainer you deal with that, says they don't do dominance training and they just want to use tricks and treats and things like that, they're missing the psyche of the dog. And 90% of the dogs that I've owned in my life, they would not be able to train with treats and praise and reward training and all that stuff. They needed to see a dominant figure. So dominance, though, dominant drive often gets confused with the rank drive in a dog. And we'll be discussing rank drive down the line, but they are two different things. They are not the same. Dominance has more to do with the dog's level of confidence. There are going to be people who will argue with that and say that that's wrong. So as we go, I'll be proving why that is true. There's two sides to dominance when it comes to dogs. One is a dog's desire to possess or control a situation or thing. The other side is a dog's desire to not be dominated. Okay, so we'll get into the first aspect of it. What did I say? A dog's desire to possess or control something or a situation. For instance, in my home, we get people that come over and visit. And one of the things, when the dogs are out and they're around, everybody's in the living room having a good time. They're petting the dogs. And next thing I know, they're sitting on the couch. The dogs aren't allowed on the couch. So they're sitting on the couch, they're petting the dog. And the first thing the dog does is creep up onto their lap. So it's got 2 feet up on the person, over the person, and they're standing up like right in the person's face on the couch. And when I come out the kitchen and I see that, I always tell the dogs to get down. Some of them just look at me because now they're getting a confused signal. I'm telling them to get down while the person who's petting them is still petting them, and they think it's all pretty that this big, huge dog is in their face. So when I get stern on it, the dog gets down. And people say, well, why? It was just letting me pet. It just was getting closer because it wanted me to pet him. No, it wasn't. They don't do that with me. They do that with you because they're being dominant over you. They don't do it with my kids. They don't do it with my wife. They don't do it with my son. They only do it with visitors. And what they're doing is they're just exuding dominance. It's not a bad thing. The only bad part about it is that dominance led them onto the couch that they're not allowed on. But other than that, it's not a bad thing. It just needs to be corrected. We have this fear of dominance. Dominance has nothing to do with aggression. It can lead to aggression, but it has nothing to do with aggression until it leads to it. As the dominant member of your pack, which really means you're the more higher ranked individual in the pack, it is our job to watch these little things that the dogs are doing and little signs that they show when dominance may become an issue. So when I say dogs, it's a dog's desire to possess, or the first part of it is a dog's desire to possess or control a situation or thing. Those are the examples. So a situation, dogs being pet, and instead of just staying there on all fours being pet, next thing you know, it's rising above the person. It's not a sign of aggression, but it is a sign of dominance. Some dogs will be dominant over a specific part of the floor. They like to lay in this specific spot. Other dog comes over to that area and they growl. That's because that dog is dominant over that spot. It has nothing to do with rank. Just means that when it comes to this spot, I don't want you messing with me. I might be willing to fight you over it. Some dogs are dominant over food. Most of us are used to that. You get these dogs where the owner can't even take their food without the dog growling. These are situations that need to be nipped in the bud and part of socialization at an early age. As you guys have heard me say before, socialization is not about a dog interacting with everything. It's about a dog being able to ignore everything and stay focused on its owner. If you're focused on the owner, who is me, and you're eating your food and I reach down to grab your food or put my hand in your bowl and you growl, you have lost focus of me as your owner. You have now replaced me with food for this moment. That can't be allowed. That's something we have to watch for. You eliminate that by early socialization, which means I'm putting my hand in your food bowl while you're a pup, while you're eating. Sometimes I put my hand in there and I take it away and give it back. Sometimes I put my hand in there and I just leave it. The dog, as the dog gets older, it learns to not be dominant over food. Some dogs are dominant over their toys. So that's why I say it's situations and things. Some dogs are dominant when it comes to play. You'll notice these as a situation. You'll notice these are the dogs that never turn to run. You know, when dogs play, there's that jousting where they go back and forth, and then one dog will turn to run, the other dog chases it, then that dog loops back, they roughhouse again, and then it goes back and forth. You pay attention to some dogs, they never go through the running aspect of play. They are constantly pushing forward. These are dogs that are dominant in play. The two of these dogs meet up, that's when play turns into a fight. The other side of dominance is the desire to not be dominated. These are dogs that get along great with other dogs, people, everything, but they won't be dominated. I'm not dominant over my food, but I'm not going to let you take my food either. That is a dog that protects its own space, maintains its own respect. I'm not trying to be the top ranked dog. I just don't want the top ranked dog messing with me and trying to dominate me. And that is the other side of dominance to pay attention to. When it comes to the thresholds of dominance, and if you guys remember, we broke thresholds down into 5 phases. Each phase being worth a point, so that when you do your math, looking at your litter, you can figure out what was your average and what you bred. First phase and remember, there is no such thing as zero when it comes to drives. All dogs have the same drives. The only thing that changes is the thresholds. So the first phase of the threshold, as we spoke on last time, is low. So this dog has a low dominance drive. Second phase, and that's worth 1 point. Second phase is this dog has a low to medium dominance drive, and that's worth 2 points. Third phase, the dog has a medium dominance drive. That's 3 points. Fourth phase, dog has a medium to high dominance drive. That's 4 points. And then the fifth phase, which is 5 points, is the dog has a high dominance drive. The tricky part about dominance when it comes to, like when we were talking about prey drive, all you had to do is put the lure in and kind of time the dog, see the intensity, and then you rate the dog from low to high. The tricky part about dominance is, like I said, dominance is about a thing or situation, an object or situations. The more you become experienced with dogs, the more situations you come up with, and the better off you are at putting that dog in those situations so that you can get an idea of what that dog's dominant drive is. If you have a dog that has a low dominance drive when it comes to situations and objects, that's great. But doesn't want to be dominant, then that's great. What you don't want doesn't want to be dominated, then that's great. What you don't want is a dog that has low dominant drive over various things, over all the things you can imagine, over all the situations you can imagine, but then also allows itself to be dominated. These are dogs that have a low confidence level. And that's why I say dog dominance is very much related to a dog's confidence level. A dog with a medium dominance drive is going to, overall, especially when it comes to being dominated, is going to be able to get along well with other dogs. Again, it's just not going to allow itself to be dominated. You take the dog to a park, for instance. Dog comes in, head high, tails straight up. It's got in that dominance posture. And it comes, but it's also an introduction posture. So it comes in and it meets these other dogs, and some dogs are going to cause that tail to lower. Their intensity brings that tail down a little bit. Some dogs, that tail is going to come down because the dog realizes they're not a threat. Super cool dog. I like playing with Labrador, so my tail kind of comes down a little bit as I relax. Other dogs are going to cause that dog to just get ticked off for some reason. Just their whole approach is too much energy, or it's fearful. So now the dog is looking at him like, okay, what are you up to? I got to watch behind my back because of you. And that's just how they're thinking. He may be wrong, But because that dog isn't operating correctly along the standards of other dogs, dogs become suspicious of that dog because it has a low dominance level. The confidence level of that dog is low. So this is something that you want to pay attention to when it comes to dogs. And when it comes to the thresholds of dominance, like I said, the more experienced you are as a breeder, the more situations you'll be able to think of. For instance, watching puppies in your litter, watching them play. They're roughhousing, they're going back and forth. There are some puppies that are just going to always dominate that time. There are some puppies that are just going to always dominate mom's nipple. You want to start paying attention to these things when the puppies are young so you can kind of see who to expect what from and compare that and then see who tends to be the highest, who tends to be the lowest, and compare that to your previous litters or your upcoming litters so that you have an idea at the direction that you're headed as you're trying to reach your vision when it comes to temperament. One of the things I noticed, for instance, in the show ring for some strange reason, is there's a lot of dogs with tucked tails. Um, this is a dog that is around humans, so his tail should be relaxed. It's around other dogs, so his tail should be from relaxed to intense, being up high. When you see a dog and their tail is tucked, that means they're not having a good time. Doesn't matter what their face look like, because half the time they're bred to look that way. So they're gonna look happy. They have no choice. But these are dogs that are lacking confidence. And if you look in a lot of our show ring dogs, especially in the bully world, it's a lot of tucked tails in that ring. That is not a good thing at all. That is something that needs to be bred out of that dog. Here's why. If I take this dog that's in the show ring with a tucked tail, one thing that lets me know as a person who's been dealing with dogs for a long period is you're not paying attention to temperament. And when then all of a sudden you breed this dog to another dog that's higher driven in another area, prey drive, protection, protective drive, protective drive, whatever it may be, the dog is higher driven. So now you've taken these two dogs that are great specimens physically, but you got one who tucks his tail in the ring, and you got this other one that's a great specimen, and he's a grand champion. But you got this other one who has a higher drive, prey drive, protective drive, defensive drive, whatever it is, because the average person in the bully world, especially the bully world, doesn't pay attention to it, and you cross them because they both got that great conformation. Now you have just taken a dog that's driven in certain areas to a dog that has low confidence in certain areas, and it throws the energy off. This is how people get bit. This is how kids get snapped at. This is how dog fights break out because there's no balance because of people not paying attention to the dogs. So again, when it comes to the threshold and rating dominance, you're going to want to put the dog. Some situations, the pups are going to end up with on their own, or your dog may end up with on its own, and you're going to be looking at that. So, for instance, let's say two pups are roughhousing, and one pup is just constantly dominating from puppy to puppy. He's the one that's constantly dominating the roughhouse. You're seeing other pups roughhouse with him and slowly give up or quickly give up in the roughhousing. And he's doing this with everybody. Chances are, as a pup, he's going to be dominant. He might even be rank driven. Like I said, we'll get into rank drive on another day. But he might even be rank driven. You want to pay attention to that because let's say you've got a litter of 10 and you've got 5 puppies that tend to dominate the roughhousing and the playing. They tend to dominate toys. They tend to be vocal, growling, and things like that. And they're only 4, 5, 6 weeks old. What you want to do is start spending time isolating those dominant dog puppies with each other. So you got 5 puppies that tend to dominate these certain situations or certain objects, and you have 5 puppies that tend to not. Start spending time separating those pups, the more dominant pups, with each other. Let them spend a couple hours together so that they can kind of balance each other out. It's in them genetically. Now you just need them to balance it out with their actions. Remember, as we've discussed before, everything is born, made, or chose. Those are the options that everything in life happens. Everything in life is every choice. You're either born, made, or chose. Whether you're born a certain way made a certain way born a certain way by your genetics, made a certain way by your environment, or chose a certain thing through your ability to reason, is no excuse for the rest of us in society. We don't care. You still have to do what we feel is right, regardless of how you were born. Well, actually, I guess we starting to change that now. But that's the way it's supposed to be. In nature, doesn't matter how the animal is chose is not as much of a factor as born and made. But nature doesn't care how you were born or how you were made by your genetics or how you were made by your environment. If you're gonna fail, if you're not gonna survive, you're just not gonna survive. And we have to let the pups in their own nature kind of take care of that. So if I've got 5 pups that are extremely dominant, meaning that their confidence is high, they're dominant over play situations or over objects. Then you want to start putting those objects in there with those pups that they're dominant over, and then see how they operate. Don't let them fight. Let them come close to it, but don't let them fight. Break it up. Start them over. This way, you can teach those pups to start using their cognitive abilities and figuring out a way beyond their genetics and their environment. Those pups that are less confident, you want them to be around each other in the same situation so that you can slowly build their confidence up. And that's why you want to separate them. And those are the things that you're going to do to test for it. What is it that this pup is dominant over? Let's say, for instance, it's the nipple. Pup is dominant over the nipple. He's pushing other pups out the way. He's got a nipple right in front of him, but because he feels somebody to his right, he just wants to push them out the way to grab their nipple. That's the pup you're going to say, okay, I'll tell you what, I'm going to move you over, or I'm going to move you by another pup that is just as dominant over nipples as you. And I'm going to let you two battle it out so that you can figure out whether you want to run with your genetics of being dominant, because you do have a brain to overcome whatever it was you were genetically bred to be. That goes for humans, dogs, everything. So that's how you balance it so that the pups are easier to socialize when they go to their new homes. You then want to figure out these situations and you want to rate them. When I put the ball in there, this pup seemed to be dominant over. When I put the tug toy in there, this pup seemed to be dominant. And you want to rate them, each pup, over these various different objects. Then you want to put them in various situations. When I put these 2 pups and when I take these dominant pups and I put them all together, start rating them over who's over from low to high and how far they're willing to go to be the dominant pup in the litter. Once you figure that out, you start breaking it if it's a trait that you don't want them to see. And that's by how you expose yourself to the dogs and how you separate them or bring them together when you're dealing with them. Dominance is a pretty simple. Did he like 2 incense or just 1? That's an incense is strong. Dominance is a very simple thing to do and observe when it comes to dogs dealing with each other. We watch them stance. They try to raise above each other. You'll notice 2 dogs come together. They usually come at an angle. We imagine them coming like this. Only humans come like that. Dogs tend to kind of take a last little step, make a slight angle, and then their heads are together sideways. And you'll notice those dominance displays. They're obvious. We have to start is paying attention as humans to how dogs use dominance, not only with each other, but also with us. For instance, you open the door to let the dogs out, and you just see them banking off each other as they're running out the door. You go to walk out, and you got that dog that bumps you. That is a display of dominance. It's not a bad thing. It's just something that needs to be corrected. When that dog bumps you, you push him back with your knee. You can't stop and let it pass you. You can't take that bump and stumble. You've got to be ready for it, because you've also got other dogs in your pack that when they go out the door with you, they don't bump you. You get what I'm saying? So that's what those are, but you're going to have those that do. You want to pay attention to that, because those are dogs that slowly but surely, through their confidence and through their dominance drive, are going to start trying to manipulate situations and take over situations. And as they get older, you want to nip that in the bud when they're young. As they get older, they start getting bigger, heavier. You don't want them taking their size to their advantage when it comes to dominating you in situations, even if it's just walking out the door. You need to be the first one to step out. Even if the dog hits to the door before you, when you open that door, you need to be the first one through it. So dominance is not a bad thing, but it can lead to bad things. As far as breeding, again, you've got to analyze the thresholds of the dogs in as many situations as you can. When my cousin and I are talking about breedings and we're talking about temperament, we're trying to think of as many situations. Hold on, we need to open up a window. That incense is strong. Hold on, y'all. It's like I'm swallowing chalk. All right, my bad, y'all. But you want to, where was I? Okay, so you want to pay attention to it so that you can rate it, but you also have to pay attention to just normal life of dog owners. For instance, you got dog parks, dog beaches. You got little old ladies that might want a dog from you, people with kids. You want to pay attention to these things. Some dogs will dominate things that are smaller than them, won't pay attention to things that are their size or larger. These are traits that you want to breed out of a dog, and you want to pay attention to them so that but you can't do that, and you can't come up with the threshold of these dogs and rate it unless you are actually, to figure out an average, unless for that litter, unless you're paying attention and you are actually coming up with as many scenarios as you possibly can. I've dealt with people in protection world, and they think dominance is a good thing. Dominance is not required for protection. He's a dominant dog. He's a great protect. Well, it's not required for protection. It's not required for aggression. Floyd was a very non-dominant dog to the point where he would let our other dogs come to his food bowl and eat out of his food. But if you took the biggest building in America and you covered it with fur, he'd hit it at 100 miles an hour. He just wasn't a dominant dog over food, over anything. The only time you would see his dominance, which kind of was mixed with his high fight drive, is when he was playing with the other dogs. And this would be a good example to kind of get an idea of it. But when he was playing with our other dogs, he was never the one that would run. He never played the game of chase where he was the one running. He was always the one chasing. He was always the one going forward. And that's just how it stayed. There's a video of him and Cardi Bull, and she was like 20, 30 pounds heavier than him. And if you notice in that video on Facebook, when they're playing, they roughhouse for a quick second, and then she turns to run. Over time, what the other dogs learn to do to prevent things from turning into a fight, I can roughhouse with him for about 5 to 10 seconds, and then if I turn to run, it's like hitting a reset button. He chases them, it calms him down. They make a U-turn, they collide again, they go back at it. So our dogs know how to manipulate dominance in other dogs. We have to learn to do the same thing, but also not only in our training and when it comes to behavior, but also in our breedings. When we notice, for whatever reasons you've made the mistake and you're hearing from owners that have gotten dogs from you, let's say you had a litter of 10, you sold all of them. 3 people come back to you and they say the dog growls when they go to eat. The other 7 are fine, or when you approach their food bowl. The other 7 are fine. But these 3, that's a huge problem because you should be able to have a full litter of dogs that don't growl when their owner comes to grab their food bowl. So you have to adjust your breedings now. You need to speak to other breeders that you might go to and say, hey, like his structure, like his color, whatever it is you're into. And then you need to be able to say to that breeder, hey, how is he when it comes to food? Or how is she when it comes to food? How are their litter mates if you know about them? What about their moms and dads? No issues, all of them were cool. Then that's the dog that you want to breed to next breeding to eliminate those 3 dogs that you had an issue with. And that's the way you got to think about breeding for temperament. It may take you 1 to 2 breedings, but you should be able to get there quickly when it comes to temperamental issues. And that's something you have to pay attention to. We explained last week as far as how to take your rating. Once you've rated the pups, you added the points 1 through 5, you divide it by the amount of points, and that's your average for that litter. And then you make adjustments in your next breeding. I'm going to go through the comments. That one didn't tend. One thing I did want to say when it comes to recognizing dominance, again, Before a dog displays its dominance, you're going to get signals. You're going to see what we call the tail is high, body stiff, muscles flex. You're going to notice these type of things. If the dog is in motion, you're going to notice that they never back off. They never retreat. And we're not talking about retreat out of fear. We're talking about retreat so that there's a balance in that rhythm with play. When two dogs get along great and they're playing, there's a rhythm to it. And they both understand the rhythm. And if you watch them long enough, you'll start to see the rhythm. You'll notice when one's going to go high, one's going to go low, one's going to turn and run, the other one's going to chase, or it's going to turn and run. You'll notice there's a rhythm to it. When a dog is overly dominant, it disrupts that rhythm. And that's how you get either fights or you get a dog that's being forced to submit for no reason. My my opinion is when a dog when it comes to the threshold is that a dog it should be when it comes to dominance at a medium. Low to medium, you're playing a game on an insecure dog. It should be a medium. Medium to high, you're playing a game on a dog that's going to cause fights when it's around other dogs. A dog that's at a medium doesn't want to push its dominance, but it doesn't want to be dominated. It will defend itself, protect itself. It will stand its ground when it comes to another dog trying to dominate it. You'll see it snap at another dog real quick because it's jumping on its back or just showing too much energy. And those are things you want to look for. So again, dominance and rank, they're two different drives. Rank sometimes displays dominance, but they are total separate drives. Dominance and aggression, nothing to do with each other. Dominance is where your dog gets its confidence from. A dog that is a level one low dominant dog is a dog that is going to be low confidence when it's around other dog or in situations when it should be showing confidence. And that's why I say the show ring is a great example. When you look at the breed American Bully in that show ring, there are so many tucked tails. You see them relax a little bit when they're walking with their owner because now they're doing something they're comfortable doing. But then all of a sudden it's time to stand there. And there's all these dogs. The judge is coming, and that dog's tail starts tucking tighter and tighter. Me personally, if I was a judge, if I see tucked tails, you're out the ring. I don't care how good the dog looks because this breed is supposed to be confident. And if a tail is tucked when you're around other dogs or people, then he's not confident. Especially these dogs that are grand champions, meaning that they've gone to however many shows it takes for you to get there or they've champed out. You've been through this enough that you should not be lacking any confidence. A dog tucks its tail to protect its vital parts. One, for the males, is their butthole and their balls. That's why they tuck their tail. Because if I get in a fight and you hurt my leg can heal. I can get through it. I can lick it, and that eventually it goes away. But if I get in a fight and I get bit and the dog gets bit in the butt, it's still got to crap, it's still got to pee. Now you're looking at infection. So tucking the tail is a natural thing. If you watch hyenas when they're fighting with with the painted dogs or wild dogs of Africa, first thing the hyenas do is they sit on their butt to prevent that from happening. You watch wild boars, especially when they have smaller dogs. Wild boars quick to sit on its butt and fight dogs off because they don't want that those if they escape, I can get away with the injuries to my nose, my head, my face. But if I get injuries to where I pee or where I poop, guess what? Now I'm looking at infection. So it's in their instincts to protect that rear area. So when a dog is walking around with his tail tucked, its instincts have kicked in and it's telling itself, tuck that tail, protect your rear area. So that's something that we want to look out for, especially in the show ring. But even with our dogs, even if you're not in the show ring, you want to look out for that. You don't see dogs that are racing, dock diving, doing protection with a tucked tail. The only activity you'll really see that in is the show ring. So, and why? Because they're ignoring temperament. They're talking about it. They're claiming it. Just because my dog doesn't attack other dogs doesn't mean that it has a good temperament. Just because my dog doesn't bite people doesn't mean that it has a good temperament. It needs to have a balanced temperament in order to have a good temperament. And that's something that we're missing out on. So when it comes to those thresholds and testing for it, it is tricky because it's based off of situations. What are these situations? People holding a dog. Food. How does the dog react when you go to take its food? A bone, a treat. Um, If I'm holding a treat in my hand, but I put it in my fist, will a puppy or dog wait for me to release it to him? Or is he going to try to clobber my fist to get to it? These are all little things you have. And how long will he sit there trying to clobber my fist to get to that treat that he smells inside my hand? Because some dogs are going to sit there and look at you, okay, your hand's closed, open your hand so I can get it. Other puppies, if they're more dominant, they're going to try to dominate your fist. These are things that you want to pay attention to when it comes to dominance. So they're toys, their treats. What else can you use to test dominance? How they play and interact with the other pups in the litter. You can look at it from day one, where you'll see that pup that is comfortably sucking on a nipple, and then all of a sudden it feels another pup next to it, and it wants to leave its nipple and push the other pup off. That's going to give you a good idea on what pups are going to be more dominant within the litter. Again, we're not talking rank, we're talking dominant. These are pups that are dominant over situation. In this case, it's the nipple. That puppy is probably going to be dominant over food. You, as the breeder, before it leaves to its new home at 8 weeks, are going to be making sure that you are breaking those pups of those temperamental habits. Again, dogs born. All life is born, made, or chose. Every decision, all life. Animals, more born and raised, born and made. But that's no excuse for anything. How you're born is no excuse for how you operate in society. Same thing goes for a dog in the dog pack. How it's born is no excuse. Dogs are not going to make an exception because his genetics are a certain way. They're going to attack him or they're going to cast that dog out the pack. They are not like humans where every 10 years we figure out some new weird thing to accept and make a part of our culture. So this is something that you got to really pay attention to when it comes to dogs, when it comes to your breedings. Again, dominance is tricky to test for when it comes to thresholds, because you've got to be able to set up as many control situations as possible for you to observe. Again, the litter is an automatic situation to observe. Toys, food. How does the dog respond when I put him on his back? The puppy respond when I put him on his back. How does a puppy respond when I'm clipping its nails? These are going to be things that you want to get the dogs comfortable and socialize with, but at the same time, pay attention to their resistance, pay attention to their threshold, pay attention to how much they desire it. I want to take that puppy's ball that he has. What will I go through to get it? Will I chase him through the whole kennel for it? Or will I just take a couple steps after him? But when he runs, I'm cool. I'll find somebody else with a ball. These are the things you have to think of as thresholds when it comes to you observing the puppies, observing your dogs, and how you go about it. For instance, Fox was a very rank-driven dog at only 13 pounds of a Jack Russell. She wasn't so much dominant, but very rank-driven. But she was balanced when it came to dominance. She refused to be dominant. Her dominance was going to automatically kick into fighting, and then it's no longer about dominance. It becomes about the fight drive at that point. How long and how hard are you willing to fight, even when you might be losing? Eventually, matter of fact, I'll give you an example of the two of those mixed together. Dog is dominant. You get two dominant dogs. One of them, this dog A, has a low fight drive but a high dominance drive. Dog B has a high dominance drive and a high fight drive. Bam, they get into it because they both got a high dominance drive. They start off playing, getting along, and all of a sudden it turns into a fight. Neither one of them is down to do the rituals that come with dogs playing. So it becomes a fight. Dog A with the low fight drive starts to lose that fight. Guess what? He submits. Dominant drive over with. Dog B, who has the high fight drive, but a high dominance drive, and let's say his fight drive isn't high, but it's more medium, low to medium or medium. Then guess what? When dog A starts to submit, dog B with the high dominance drive and the medium fight drive is going to slowly back up off of dog A, let dog A up. And as long as dog A don't show any signs of dominance, he'll let dog A walk off or even restart the playing. But now dog A is going to learn I'm going to be able to play with dog B, but I can't do the signs of dominance. I need to jump into the rituals and the rhythms of play. So when he starts to kind of dominate me, instead of me trying to dominate him, I'm going to turn, I'm going to run, I'm going to loop around, and then we're going to roughhouse again. And that's how dogs keep that balance when you're paying attention to them. Like I said before, best thing you could do is go to a dog park without your dogs and watch the dogs interact, and just first time, just observe it and take notes. Don't try to analyze it or interpret it or ask questions or come up with an answer. Just observe their displays and take notes. Each time you go, your notes will become more and more detailed, and you'll understand what's going on and how dogs actually relate to each other. That is pretty much it. So I'm gonna hit the comments, see if you guys got any questions. Um, Let's see here. Let's see. That thrower sign is fire. Yeah. I actually, that is Kyle Holland that is working on the sign. If you saw that in the background on Monday night's live, can't wait to get that from him. Matter of fact, I think I got to send him my address. But he does some. You guys will see it. But he does some great metal work where he's able to make your logos. And not only is he able to make the logo out of metal, he is then puts on lights to it, but you can't see the lights, the bulbs from the lights. You just see the light coming from the bulbs, and they shine different colors. It's dope. I can't wait to get mine. Raul of QBN, he's got one. I think Danny's got one also. I can't wait to get mine. Rosa, I'm glad y'all brothers' stomachs made it through. Bro, it was a struggle, dude. That night I had the worst heartburn, dude. It was bad. Yes, hit that like button, y'all. CPT Bully said, "What's good? What's up, man? Thanks for joining in. Safe travels. Congratulations on your vision and journey." Thank you very much, man. Thank you very much. I can't wait. I'm excited. A little nervous because we're leaving two of our kids behind here in California. My oldest son is coming with us. The other two are going to be staying here. And so I'm a little nervous. My daughter's getting an apartment for the first time. My youngest son, he's going to be finishing up school, moving in with my mom and dad up in Northern California. My daughter, she'll be finishing school down here. She wants to go to law school out here. So that's what she plans on doing. So she's going to stay here. My only thing is she's like her daddy. She's a party bug at her age. So I'm a little nervous about that, but we'll see how it goes. She gonna have to. We'll have a rule where she's got to call me like every 2 hours or something like that, regardless of what time it is. Smooth said, "What's up, Smooth? Bullies in the house. What's up, Smooth? Thanks for joining in." Kyle said, "Thanks, bro. I'm sending it out this week." All right, cool. I think I sent you my address. If I didn't, I'll make sure to do that. That way we're not stuck in the whole Arkansas move thing and it comes here. AMIK9 said, "Big salute from Morocco." That's what I'm talking about. Thanks for joining in. Spirit Rider said, "These talks saved my kitty butt the other day. Had I not recognized what I was seeing, it would have been a lot uglier." And you know what? You had hit me on Messenger, and I'm glad you sent me that. And I'm glad that, these talks, helped you recognize what it was you were looking at so that you could get in between that situation. So, okay, you corrected itty bitty. Exactly. But those typos could change the whole context of the conversation. But I'm glad that that because here's another thing. Sometimes we get in we know things, but in the heat of the moment, we forget everything we know. So I'm glad that we've had lives that helped you in that situation. I'm also glad that you were able to calm yourself to a point to remember what you had heard, things that you had learned. So salute to you, Betty. Let's see here. Don G said, "I tell people the dog is locked up because he's going to hump you or hurt you." Okay. Oh, let's talk about that. Male dogs humping each other. Years ago, we always knew that that was a dominant thing. It wasn't necessarily related to sex, it was related to dominating. Dog allows itself to get dominated to a point where it actually turns on the other dog. So then you start getting the argument, well, then that means there are some dogs that are born gay. No, that's not it. Dogs, some dogs have a dominant drive, and when they start to dominate another dog and that dog doesn't defend itself or fight back, maintain its confidence, then next thing you know, or it turns its back to the other dog, there's nothing left to do. I'm not trying to hurt it. So there's nothing left to do as a dominant dog, and they just mount it. And next thing you know, because they're in that position, they get turned on. And next thing you know, they start humping the dog. But it's a dominant issue that is caused by the other dog not having lacking confidence and not standing its grounds, not because of the dog that's doing the humping. The other dog is triggering it by not being normal and standing its ground. Um, has nothing to do with the sexuality of the dog. Let's see here. What's up, Massachusetts Fishing and Growing? Thanks for joining in. Rose said I could pick up all my dog's food bowls when they eat. I can take any toy from them and they can sleep together. I am the pack leader. There you go. And that is a better word than the dominant member of the pack, because when it comes to dominance, again, dominance is about controlling or possessing a situation or a thing. So as the pack leader, there is dominance comes with it, but at the same time, it's more about you just being the leader of the pack. I see this dog doing something I don't like, is getting ready to get this dog in trouble or hurt or cause a fight. So therefore, I'm nipping it in the bud as soon as I recognize it as the pack leader. You have some dogs that will do that. They see two dogs getting kind of tense, and then they just kind of walk over there, and the first thing they do is walk between them. Turn back around, look at them, they'll walk between them again. They might even stand off on the one that's the most dominant out of those two that they're getting in between. But that is a pack leader position. But let's see, any toy from them, and they can sleep together. I am the pack leader. I don't have to put my hands on them. All I have to do is use my voice. There you go. Jacques said, love the knowledge you share here. Thanks again. Thank you for joining in and tuning in. Make sure you guys hit that like button. If you're on Facebook, definitely share it. Let's see. Betsy said, I'd give both mine a 3. Lincoln can get to a 4 when it comes to who is touching mom. There you go. There's another situation I didn't think of. Some dogs are dominant over their owners. You can be petting the dog perfectly fine. Then all of a sudden, here comes another dog, and they move to that hand. Now, you were doing just fine with my right hand. Why are you moved to my left hand? Why can't I use my left hand to pet this other dog? Some dogs are dominant for attention, and that's why I say it's situational and it's objective, meaning objects and situations. So that's actually a great example, because I didn't even think of that, and I should have. Rose said, I can't take my dogs around dogs outside of my yard, just dogs that are a part of the family. There you go. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you're not into the show ring, there's not, I want to say pet farms, pet parks or dog parks, then there's nothing wrong with that. As long as that's how we were. When we had a pack of 4, we had 2 dogs we could take anywhere. Fox was a little bitch, but she had a way of letting, at 13 pounds, she had a way of letting 150-pound dogs know to leave her alone. Kayla got along with everybody, and she could stand her ground with other dogs. Floyd, Sasha was 50-50. Floyd, on the other hand, there's no such thing as playing with other dogs. There's no such thing as socializing. There was no such thing as dominance. If he sees a dog, he's headed at it 100 miles an hour, and he's not stopping until he hits it. He's hitting it at 100 miles an hour. So dominance wasn't an issue with Floyd. It wasn't even a factor. He's just going to attack everything he sees. In the house, though, Floyd was actually on the lower portion of the ranking of the totem pole when it came to rank drive. And when it came to dominance drive, he was not dominant over anything. He was not going to try to attack the other dogs over toys, food, anything. Like I say, the other dogs would eat their food as fast as they could to see who could be the first one to Floyd's bowl, because they knew Floyd wouldn't attack them if they jumped in his bowl. But any dog outside of that or any animal outside of that, he was hell on wheels. So that lets you know right there, dominance and aggression aren't tied to each other. Dominance can lead to it, but they're not actually tied to each other. They don't have to be, I should say. I was just going to say outside yard, different story. There you go. Rose said, my dogs ain't tucking no tail. Bruh, that's the thing. It has to be something that And you could take a dog into a new environment and that tail tucks. That's a little bit of intelligence. You can take a dog into a new environment and the tail raises up. That's also the dog a little bit of intelligence. Dog's looking around and saying, I'm not fearful of anything and I'm not worried about anything. But if a dog has been in the show ring 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 times and it's still got pictures of the dog tucking his tail, that's a problem. And because we have lost our knowledge of dogs, we'll breed to that. That's a problem. One of the things I liked about Dooley was when I saw him in the show ring, there was no tucked tail. Now I haven't paid attention to other pictures, but the times that I've seen pictures of Dooley in the show ring, there was no tucked tail. He was a relaxed dog, and that's the way it should be. Rhodes Kennels said, I read my dog so there isn't a chance for an accident. There you go. And that's how you prevent accidents, by learning your dogs, their behavior, admitting the drives that exist in your dogs: prey drive, dominance, rank, everything that there is, purpose, play. All these are various drives within a dog. John Stevens threw up the laughing emoji. Rose said older males and younger males, or older females and younger females, I watch very closely around each other. There you go, because those older dogs are going to be more dominant over those younger dogs, especially if those younger dogs aren't genetically a high dominant driven dog. Then that you're going to have issues with them. Then you're going to have those older dogs being dominant over them, and you got to watch it, because that pup, you say, oh, little cute little puppy, he's submissive to my older dog. But that cute little puppy starts to get older and older. His testosterone kicks in, life kicks in, and they start to change. Let's see here. Mark McKenna, what's up, man? Thanks for joining in. I'm doing good. Hopefully you doing good also. Rosa, hit that like button, y'all, and share. Exactly. My females are more dominant than my males, for sure. That tends to be in a lot of breeds, that the females do tend to be more dominant. Males are a little, you know how we are. We're a little unfocused, And so as far as dominating certain things, we're kind of looking this way, looking that way. We're looking over the fence. Females are more in tune with what's going on, and they tend to be a little more dominant. They'll check males on their approach and things like that. Let's see. WKRK9 said, I've seen many show handlers pulling tails out from between the dog's legs. Yes. And it's almost a reminder to that dog that you're here. You're good. We've been here before. Pull that tail out and you can help them. I've seen breeders that would take a dog's tail and tie it, the tip of the tail, not dog breeders, trainers, I should say, will take a dog's tail, the tip of the dog's tail, and tie it to their collar so that the tail could not tuck. And you would see those dogs kind of lowering their tail, because a lot of times it's not that the dog's intentionally lowering his tail, it's that it's getting this emotion that causes the tail to lower. Next thing you know, the tail tucks. If you can prevent that from happening, or remind the dog by untucking the tail, then the dog will mentally remind itself, you know what, everything's good. I've been here for 30 minutes, nothing happened. I'm all right. But I have seen trainers, I've actually never done it before, but I have seen trainers and know a few that have said it was very useful to tie a string or a small thin rope to from the middle of the tail on up to the dog's tail, and then tie the other end of it to the collar so that the tail could not tuck, and those dogs would be forced to get comfortable rather than ride with what their genetic instincts are causing them to do. Southern California tuning in. What's up, Rick Libre? Johnny Mann said, what about age? My wife's family has always had Great Danes, and it seems the older they get, they go through dominance issues, especially the females. Do you feel it can change with age? It definitely changes with age. Males, that testosterone kicks in, they start to become a little more dominant as they're feeling themselves. Females, they start to get older, analyzing things, coming up with their own conclusions. That estrogen is kicking in, and they do the same thing. They start to become dominant over certain situations or objects. But that's why you want to start but they will show those signs when they're younger. And that's why you want to nip those things in the bud when they're younger. Again, they may have been genetically bred that way. It could be their environment that caused them to be that way. Either way, that is no excuse. You, as the human, the owner, the trainer, the breeder, you want to control that. But yes, it definitely does. As dogs get older, they can either be dominant in their litter and then learn, like, hey, this leads to fights, and I got a low fight drive, so I'm going to kick back on that whole dominance thing, or they can become worse, especially if they're winning those fights and they have a medium level fight drive. So that's something, and we'll be talking about fight drive down the line also. But yes, it definitely changes as the dogs get older. Some of them have a better control of their genetic dominance drive threshold. Some don't learn it and become, and their threshold increases, not genetically, but environmentally. Their displays of it increases. So it's just a matter of spotting it when we get young. And remember, these dogs aren't kids. They're not our children. They're not our babies. They are an animal. And not only are they an animal, they are a predator. So therefore, we have to acknowledge those things and then adjust our own mindset accordingly. Rose said, in my opinion, big dogs, as they get older, they just want to relax by themselves. They're not into all that puppy playing. This is true. We've noticed that. I had a large rot. He was 140 pounds. Every now and then he'd hit like 147. At his best, he was like around 132, 133. But he was a big boy. But he was very athletic. He was very agile. He was very energetic. As I started dealing more with dog training, I noticed the same thing, that the larger dogs usually tend to be more laid back and relaxed. Some of that comes from confidence. Some of that comes from the lack of energy and getting that big body moving around. Belinda is in the house. What's up? Thanks for joining in. Now you didn't miss it. We just wrapping it up. Well, so you just missed the beginning, or you may not have, because where am I? You're at 5:47, so I'm actually only about 15 minutes behind, 15, 20 minutes behind. So you didn't miss much. This one seems to be getting it was pretty short. We're just talking about dominance drive. That is not the same thing as rank drive. And that dominance drive is basically a dog's desire to control various situations or possess various things. But dominance is all about control and possession. Might be my spot on the couch, might be my owner, might be my food bowl, might be my ball, whatever it is. Might be the way I play. My style of play is the way I like to play, and therefore it conflicts with the way most dogs like to play, and it comes off as being overly dominant, and it tends to lead to fights. I know the bathroom suffered. I ain't even gonna comment on that, but it did. Pitbull Bell said, "What's the topic? Was dominance drive." Let's see here. People letting her know. Oh, the kitty is. That was funny. Let's see here. Spirit Rider said, "No, a new one almost got eaten by a few neighbors' dogs. You got it. You could need some cat control over there." Let's see. Oh no, Spirit, I didn't know about that one. Mike B said, "What to look for when looking at a litter if your intent is to get the most laid back pup of the litter?" Okay. There are times where the most laid back pup of the litter could be one of the most protective pups of the litter. It is a pup that is not into being with the pack. Tends to be more into being with the human and absorbs the human environment, and can also be the more protective pup of the litter. So for instance, let's say I'm breeding band dogs. Those pups that love to play in roughhouse and get into it, those are the best pups for hunting. Those pups that tend to kind of observe, sit back, analyze, are more laid back. Those pups tend to be the better pups for protection. So if you're looking for a laid back, and that's what you want to see then. And the best ways to do it is watch the pups when they're playing. Take like last time when we were talking about play drive, and I talked about the little flirt pole that you can get in the cat section. It's about like that, about what, a foot long. God usually has a feather and a bell at the end. Here's where you have to be careful when it comes to the word laid back. All the pups are in their kennel, whatever it is they're in, and you hang that little lure over and you're teasing them, getting them to chase it around. And you know this was one pup that doesn't engage. He might not be engaging because he don't want to get all involved in the pack stuff. Take that pup away from the litter, take the same toy, now see if he'll engage with the lure. If he'll engage with the lure when you're playing with him, but not when the other pups are present, chances are he's going to be a laid back pup and he's not lacking cognitive ability. He's not lacking energy. He's just a laid back pup. King is an extremely laid back dog. So we made sure all of our females were more energetic, athletic driven dogs. Um, but he also is partly that way because of his size. He's a 163-pound dog. Um, when he's in heat, or when the females are in heat, he'll stop eating for days, and he still will only drop to like 155. He's a huge, tall, wide dog, but he's a laid back dog. There's a video that I posted when we were at the Cinco de Mayo show, not the last one, but the year before. And there's a bunch of dogs there. If you notice, King's laid back. He's confident. But again, he's chill. Um, there was one dog that came in and it was just trying to fight it was about 14, 15 of us all. I forgot what the category was we were all competing against. And when that dog entered, it wanted to fight everything moving. King plus all the rest of the dogs. Caused a big commotion. Now all the dogs are fearful, they're ducking, or they're trying to fight each other because this dog caused a big commotion. King was just like, whatever, tail up, ready to go, but he was just like, whatever. Once that dog was kept at a distance, King could see the dog was under control, then he relaxed. So a relaxed dog is good, but you want to make sure that relaxed doesn't equal lazy. You don't want a lazy dog because that's against the whole design of the species, and that's going to lead to other issues. So relax though is good, but yeah, look for that pup that is a little more reserved than the other pups in the litter. But then make sure that when you separate that pup from the litter, you can bring out that same energy from that pup, and then that way you know that the pup's not lazy. He's just laid back, don't want to get involved with the other pups in the litter, but he's still looking for things to do. He's still curious, and that he's still got a liveliness, energy about him. So those are the type of things you want to look for when it comes to that. And let me make sure I answer that. What to look for when looking at a litter if your intent is to get the most laid back pup? So yes, that would be the answer. Mike B said, thanks for all the great info. It really helps a lot. Thank you for tuning into it, and I appreciate that. Pitbull Bell said, y'all don't forget to like and share if you want to, but please like it. Definitely hit that like button. Affect those algorithms that I'm learning about from Rob. Spirit Rider said, just happened, got one nice bite on the farm. That's the one you sent me the picture of. Dogs had gotten out, so I put them in my yard, all good till I put on a grooming glove, and bam. Let's see. King said, my pup won't stop touching her tail. For some reason, I can hear myself turn these. For some reason, yeah, I think sounds good. I can All right, I couldn't read those words. They're so small. I had to pull out my magnifying glass. All right, so we're back up. Um, what you'll need to do in those situations is put that pup in as many situations as possible, but bring things that the puppy loves. His favorite toy is and a treat. Go to a PetSmart, Tractor Supply. Make sure to show them the toy that you brought in so they don't think you stole it, and get that toy to keep him distracted from what those things that are making him nervous. Give him that treat. Keep him moving forward. And you'll notice as you bring the pup into more situations with his favorite toy and a treat, he'll start to become more confident, because he'll learn to be okay. I see this over there that's making me nervous. I tuck my tail, but then my owner's about to give me a toy, or a treat. So bam. I would personally try to use the toy. That brings out a more natural confidence than the treat. The treat becomes more of a distraction. Either way, the end result is the pup learns that, okay, I remember seeing that before and it making me nervous, but I played with a toy plus 8 and nothing happened. So you know what? That thing doesn't need to make me nervous. So try to do that, but get the pup in as many scenarios as possible away from home, to try to build that confidence up. And usually you're going to do that by distracting it with a toy or a treat. Let's see. Spirit, I realized I had turned a switch without the off button. Okay, hold on. Okay, there we go. Everything I could do to keep him off and get back into the house. Now, I feel you. When it gets heated, it gets heated. Oh, I hate tail tucking. Mine don't, but if I had one that did and couldn't build it and it stopped, it'd be pet homed if possible. I agree. I don't, we won't breed a dog that is often tucking its tail. Um, you just want them to have confidence. You know what I mean? A dog that is tucking his tail, if you don't break it of that and build that confidence up, those are the dogs that can lead to, people getting snapped at, bit, cause dog fights, things like that. Tuck tail doesn't have anything to do with gameness, though. No. You'll see game dogs sometimes in the middle of a fight, they'll tuck their tail, but that's due to protection. Other ones, there is no form of protection in them. Now, one thing that they used to say when I was young, that if a dog was game, wasn't going to tuck his tail because it was never thinking about possibly losing or being at a disadvantage. If a dog tucked its tail, typically gameness wasn't what it was winning fights with. It was typically winning fights because of its intelligence or its style. And that used to be something I never analyzed that by talking to enough people. But that was something I do remember hearing. But yeah, I wouldn't associate the two, but based off what I just said, there is an association, but I wouldn't look at a tuck tail in a fight in a match as a sign of fear. I would look at it as this is a dog that is protecting itself on all fronts and ready to go to war. Um, Outside of the pit or the box or the match, tuck tail 99.99% of the time is going to be a show of fear, lack of confidence. Uh, who got the garlic? I think I ate 6 garlic cloves on Monday. And then luckily I had Tabasco instead of this stuff because it didn't show up on time. But yeah, I had 6 garlic cloves. I had heartburn all night, like bad heartburn. It was worth it though because it was funny. Getting to laugh at the other guys that had to take this made it funny. So I'm gonna not bring that up anymore because otherwise they're gonna want to do it again. Mike B said, in your opinion, is a kink tail ever acceptable in an American bully of any class? If a dog has a kink tail, I don't consider that dog a problem. I don't know that I would breed that dog. There are varying opinions on it. I have always understood that kink tail, and that's funny because about a month or two ago, myself and Marlon of DDK9 and his wife were having a conversation about kink tails. I've always understood that you didn't breed a dog with a kink tail and that the dog shouldn't be able to show because if it's born with a kink tail, the next litter or that dog breeds it may have a litter where the kink is now not on the tail, but in the spine, and that can lead to a problem. Remember, the tail is just an extension of the spine coming outside the body. So that's what I've always understood. And the conversation that we were having a couple months ago, um, they had spoken to their vet about it, and them, they got big money and great vets. That vet felt that that wasn't something that they'd ever noticed. That they felt it made sense, but not something that they ever noticed. So basically, like if the dog is genetically throwing kinks in the tail, chances are it's going to throw them in the same spot or area of the tail. So I've heard mixed things about that. I always grew up under the understanding that if a dog has a kink in the tail, you don't breed it, because next time that kink may not be in the tail, it may be in the spine, being that the tail is a connection of the spine. I would say if the dog has a kink tail, I would not, you want to breed that out. So I don't think it should be considered, I don't know. We don't know what the truth is on it. You know what I mean? If we find out that the tail, though it is an extension of the spine, though a kink tail never has produced itself in the spine in over generations, then I would say it should just be considered a flaw. It's definitely something I would breed away from or breed out of, in my opinion. Let's see here. Pitbull said, no, Dan G has nothing to do with gameness. I must have missed something. Yeah, it doesn't. I wouldn't associate it with gameness. King Crow, what's wrong with garlic? Oh, you missed it, Belinda. I had to. Raul came up with this thing. He didn't tell us what was going on. He just asked for our addresses. Well, our live was Monday. Everybody got sent not Tabasco. This hot sauce right here. We all got that in the mail. Luckily, I didn't get mine till Tuesday. So when it came time to do the live that day, Raul hits us up. He's like, I need you guys to be prepared with the hot sauce that you received. I told him I didn't receive mine. He said a lemon and garlic. And then we did this live where we're talking dogs. But if somebody paid $5, and then they would pick who had to take a bite of lemon, or I think it was $10, you had to eat a whole garlic clove. $15, they had to take a spoonful of this hot sauce, and it was killing us. I love garlic. I had no idea how raw garlic burns the tongue. And I think I had to do like 6 of them. It was wild. It was fun. It was hilarious, but it was wild. Your dog should not be tucking a tail in the show ring. I agree, but look how many we see in the show ring with their tails tucked, and the judges don't even seem to make it a concern. But then, like somebody said earlier, when you watch AKC and all these other ones, you see them grabbing that tail and pulling it back up, and the dog kind of relaxes. Let's see. Pretty Eye Pit says, so is the dominant set in stone? Will it adjust sometimes depending on the handler? Like they'll be different with me versus my girl, or a home with multiple dogs versus a home where they're the only dog? Yes. Genetics is set in stone. But again, we're all born made. Everything we are and everything we do and every choice that we make is born made or chose. So with dogs, a dog may have a low or a high dominance drive, but that's the born part. When it comes to the made part, that's where the owner comes in handy, or the breeder who has that dog that pup the first 8 weeks of its life. Dog with low confidence for whatever reasons genetically is showing this at an early age, then you need, as the breeder, you need to build that confidence up in that dog. If it's going to a home, then you need to make that person that's purchasing the dog aware, because that dog still may impress the person. You let them know, look, out of the litter and out of my last 2 litters, this pup seems to have a low dominance drive, which is going to equate to confidence. A confident dog usually has a dominance drive right at medium level. Doesn't overdo it, but it don't want to be dominated by no other dogs either. So you're gonna have to inform that buyer of that puppy having a low dominance drive, or what people feel confident, more comfortable saying, low confidence. And that dog's gonna need to be socialized. Is gonna need to go out. It's gonna need to meet people, meet other dogs, so they can learn that everything is okay. The thing that you want to be on top of, especially when it comes to children and other dogs, is how they are around other dogs. You don't want to take a dog that you're trying to build its confidence and mess around and get it around a dominant dog. So you just have to be aware of it. So as far as your question, so is dominance set in stone? It is set in stone genetically. Nothing you could do about it, but until the next generation. But as far as that dog and his social skills, that is based off the owner. And yes, you can adjust how your dog reacts to his genetics. You see what I'm saying? Um, so yes, it can be adjusted. Let's see. They had a hot sauce garlic lemon eating contest. Exactly. Let's see. King Crow Mondays QB&K. He was eating. Yep, exactly. Yeah, I think I don't remember. I think Kyle might have gotten the most hot sauce, but that was his wife. His wife kept calling in and paying for him to take on more hot sauce, so that was his wife. Let's see. Monday, yeah, that was on Monday. I caught like the last 3 minutes of that as they were still all choking. Exactly. Let's see here. People Taki just keep socializing, taking around different noises and environment and praise the whole time. They're confident. Exactly. And if you notice what Belinda's saying, she said, praise the whole time they're confident. So let's say you take them around different areas. You more want to, let's say you have your treat and you got a toy. If the dog is showing nervousness, tucking its tail, and you just brought it into Tractor Supply, use the toy to get it out of that mode. When it gets out of that mode, then give it a treat as an official reward and then move on to the next area. But the problem that a lot of people have is you need to take the time to stay there until the dog is no longer tucking its tail. Whatever that environment you brought it in to build its confidence, you need to continue doing it until the dog's confidence is up. Because guess what? It may go the next 30 minutes as a whole new dog. You're like, bam, we won. His confidence is up. You leave. You come back a week later and you're starting all over again. So you want to make sure that you're staying there until it's up. The last thing you want to do is leave and you left while the dog was showing displays that were lack of confidence. So make sure you're aware of that, and always reward it when it's comfortable, so that it stays comfortable and it understands this is the mode that you want me in when I'm feeling comfortable. And we as humans have lost track of controlling our emotions to where we can make them be what we want them to be. I mean, we have some people that exaggerate or are just dramatic. That's different. Animals have the ability to control their emotions, block it out, and do what needs to be done. And so that's why it's just going to take repetition, and the dog will figure it out. Taki, there's so many secrets in stores and parks that is natural, or so many scents in stores and parks that is natural to do that, but you can get them out of that. There you go. Let dog sniff for a bit, then correct it. Will get over the curiosity. Mike B said, does the nutritional needs of a female change as they approach 5 to 6 years of age or after they are spayed? I would say the only thing I would change is less quantity. Other than that, I wouldn't change much. The dog tends to, as the dog gets less active, you want to bring down the amount of food that the dog is eating, because you'll start to notice the stomach is expanding more. The dog's less active, stomach's expanding more. And now because the stomach is expanding more, the dog is able to eat more, and you start to get an overweight dog as it ages. So they start to hit that 5 to 6 years of age. You're cutting back on their exercise or conditioning. The dog's less active running around the yard. it's time to cut the food back just a little bit, not much, but just a little bit. And then just watch the dog's weight. Make sure that it's maintaining its weight. Let's see. Mark McKinnon said, just about to get a very assertive female APBT American Pit Bull Terrier with high dog aggression levels fixed. What effect is likely to have on her dog aggression levels outside the pack? Will it affect her prey drive? Okay, when it comes to pit bulls, working terriers, fixing the dog should not have much of an effect. The age also plays a part in what I'm saying. So let's say I'm assuming the dog is older, 2 years older. You're realizing there's issues. So you want to go ahead and use fixing the dog to kind of bring those issues down. There are some dogs that fixing them, especially when you come to your terriers, your working terriers, your pit bulls, that fixing them has no effects on them. It's not the hormones, it's the genetics that make that dog what it is. And the genetics have bypassed all hormones in the dog. If you have a dog where hormones are still play a part, then fixing it can definitely help. What effect is likely to have on her? And also, she's a female. She's not a male, so it's not gonna change her too much, especially as a female. Males, it tends to change a little more, but as a female, it's not gonna change her too much. You know, you may have that female that she just has to be kept separate. You know, and if you love her, then there's nothing wrong with that. You just keep her separate. She'll have her time to do whatever, and the rest of the pack will have their time to do whatever. Um, I don't look at dog aggressive dogs as bad dogs. You know, and you gotta pit bull, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, with American bullies, I think you have to balance it. But with a pit bull, if I get a pit bull and it's dog aggressive, I'm cool with that. It just won't be around other dogs or around the rest of the pack. But fixing, depending on the age, may not help the female that much in correcting anything. Let's see, Mike. You want to cut back on protein and fat as they get older. Exactly. And you can usually control protein and fat just by cutting back on the amount that you're giving them. And you said 5 and 6, that's right around the age to start. If the dog is showing, but again, base it on the energy of the dog. If you notice when it was 2 years old, it had way more energy than it does at 5 years old, then it's time to start cutting back a little bit. Bully Brad Kendall said, "Yo, what's good, everybody? How you living? What's up, Bully Brad? Thanks for joining in." See, and how's it, Brad? That's a major factor. Taki Williams said his dominance drive is a 1, and my female is a 3. She loves everything, but she will defend herself. Her prey drive is 8. Her protein drive is about 5. She doesn't like roughhousing. And her protection drive is about 5. She doesn't like roughhousing and will bio my boys. Not sure what you mean, but I'm thinking she dominates or bullies the boys. And that's cool. So you says dominance drive is a 1 and my female is a 3. She loves everything. So if these are dogs that you're breeding and his dominance drive is a 1, that could be a lack of confidence issue. If she's a 3, that means we're looking at medium, and that's going to tend to be a confident female. Everything, but she will defend herself. She loves everything, but she will defend herself. Her prey drive is an 8. You got to limit it to 5. So we'll just say her prey drive is a 5. Her protection drive is about a 5. Protection drive being a 5 means that she's actually willing to engage and bite in order to protect herself and her family, both included. To protect herself and her family, she's willing to bite and dominate whatever she's going against. That means she has a certain level of civil drive. Civil drive and protection drive, very related, but civil drives like the next level of protection drives. I treat it, some people feel it should be treated the same as protection, just that civil drive is the highest form of protection drive. I've seen enough with dogs that of civil drive that you would have to kind of say, you know what, it needs to be treated separately. Even though they're very related, it needs to be treated separately so that there's a better understanding in the breeding process and the training process. Let's see. Okay, and she will nip my boys. Okay, so she's the dominant dog in the house. You know what I mean? And if it's situational, you're talking about dominance. If it's not situational or an object that she favors, then you might be dealing with rank drive and that she's top dog in the house. Let's see. CBT Bully said, if you have a aggressive dog towards other dogs and you breed it to a less aggressive dog, would that bring the would that bring lower the dog aggressiveness towards the aggressive dog's offspring? Yes. So if I got one dog that's extremely dog aggressive, I have another dog that gets along with every dog, there's no dog aggression there. By breeding them together, you're going to get pups in the litter that are like the dog aggressive dog, and you're going to get pups in the litter that are like the non-dog aggressive dog, and you might get some that's a little kind of balance of the two of them. They're still going to be one side or the other. You're never just going to get that right in the middle. So then from there, you want to take the dogs that were non-aggressive and you move forward in your breeding with those. And remember, you have genotype and you have phenotype. Genotype is what's the genetics in the dog. Phenotype is the genetics and how they display themselves for our eyes to see. A lot of people make the mistake of thinking temperament is a genotype. It's not. It's a phenotype. It's just a phenotype that we have to learn to see. So just like when you were 2 years old, you couldn't say this dog is black, this dog's white, this dog's red, this dog is lilac, and all these other, and this dog is Merle. You had to learn those things and so that you could call them out. It's no different than when you're looking at the temperament of a dog. The more drives you learn to look at and how they're displayed, next thing you know, the temperament of a dog is just as bright as the color of a dog or the structure of a dog. And it just takes time and experience in dealing with the dogs. My scaling is 1 to 10, 1 lowest, 10 max. There you go. CBT Bully said, and does it matter of the sex of the dog since the female carries the most dominant traits in the litter? Yes. So if you have an aggressive female and a non-aggressive male, they're going to battle it out between the female pups. But the female is going to dominate the majority of the male pups. Unless your male is line bred or inbred, then that's going to give him a better chance of pushing his genetics. But if they're both scatterbred and she's more aggressive and he's less aggressive, then yeah, they're going to battle it out. And you want the more of the traits from the male she breeds to, then you're going to want to make sure that you get one of the females, because those males may have more of her genetic information, and it may not display, or it may even get worse when testosterone kicks in and they start hitting, 8 months, a year, 2 years old. It might grow. So you have to pay attention to that. That kind of loaded, but typically with bullies, yes, the more you breed with less aggression, it will lower it, but keep a balance if you can with the drives you do want. Exactly. Never lower a drive without thinking about replacing a drive or lifting another drive. So if I notice I have a dominant driven dog, he's possessive or controlling over this object or overly controlling over these types of situations. Now I'm going to breed that dog to another dog to balance that out. I want to make sure that dog I'm breeding to to lower the dominance drive, has a higher play drive, a higher purpose drive, a higher prey drive. You want to replace that with something, because when you start lowering everything, you start to lose intelligence, because these are the thing that makes the dog the thing that it is. So you want to make sure that there's an increase somewhere. So if I'm lowering something, I want to make sure there's an increase somewhere else. And just to clarify that, if I'm lowering something by breeding to this dog over here, then I want to make sure that that dog has an increase of something that this dog over here doesn't have. You get what I'm saying? And that way you keep a balance and you maintain the cognitive ability and eventually the health of your breedings. Most dogs walking around at 130 pounds would be a lot healthier at 115. I agree, unless that dog's naturally 130 pounds. Problem is, we tend to say, this dog's going to be big, so I'm going to feed it more. Well, the dog's going to be big. You didn't have to do that. The genetics will take care of it. And sometimes we forget that. Let's see. The Mad King, what's up, man? Thanks for joining in. Let's see, CPT, thanking Pitbull Bell. And I thank you also, Belinda, for the help that you put in the comments. Eric is another one. Thank you too. Let's see, not working. Somebody said, I have a nice balance and intelligence that you can hear towards whatever you want to pull out and focus on. There you go. That's that purpose drive. Love a dog that can switch up and go from one of my desires to the next one of my desires. Okay, let's see. I need to check that out. Welcome, CPT. Where can we find the interview you did with Bashar? That is on Robert's. I want to say that's on Robert's KTK Bullies page. It might be on his Robert McCormick page. So check that out and you'll be able to find it. Pitbull Bell said, gear, not here. Predictive text. I don't read before I send. I don't either. I keep saying that I'm going to read, that I'm going to take that one little split second to read what I sent, and I never do. I type it, I send it, and next thing I know, I look at it, and I'm like, this isn't even English anymore. Wait, Daryl did an interview with Bashar. Yeah, that was like a month or two ago that we did that. It was cool, you know what I'm saying? It was Rob's platform, so I kept a lot of things to myself. I did ask his perspective on things so that people could see what they were looking at and who they were hearing. But I kept my perspective. I kept it to myself. Let's see. I think he said he did it on. No, it was on Robert McCormick's QB. Let me see if I can find that. Let me see here. I don't know why I have a headache right now. Um, am I getting Bashar mixed up with somebody else? Why don't I see it here? Um, how you spell Bashar's name? B-A? Maybe I'm getting Bashar mixed up with somebody else. I could have swore we did an interview with Bashar. Seven views 3 weeks ago. That's not it. I might be getting him mixed up with another dude, but no, because I can't find that other dude. I'm gonna have to ask Rob, and then I can send you guys the link. Here's this one. And why aren't these in order? Let me see here. I'm on Rob's page. Why am I not seeing it? Hold on. Okay, I think this is it. Let me see here. Um, there's no way just to search. Okay, here we go. Ain't his name Bashar? Hold on. This is a pain in the butt. Let me see here. Okay, we did. There's the one with Eddie. Maybe I'm getting Bashar mixed up with someone else. But where's the interview with that other dude? That's not on here either. Nice whelping, American Bully. Can we find a treat? Pre-Talk Friday. Maybe I'm thinking of Bashar because we were supposed to do it and it ended up getting canceled. I gotta call Rob and then I'm gonna make sure. I could have swore we did an interview with Bashar. Almost certain we did. But I might be getting him mixed up with somebody else. That lets you know how I think about the bully world. Let's see. Back to the comments. I'll find it though, and then I'll make sure we post it somehow. I don't usually watch the QBNK lives. Uh, Total Bully Kennels, what's up, man? That's all right. Better late than never. So I found out that all a micro is a pug and a bulldog. How did you feel about that? I think they're a little bit of everything. Frenchie and Bulldog and Chihuahua and Frenchie and whatever they can get to. Man, I love garlic. Me too. I really eat it raw with raw. Okay, raw honey might make it better. Eating it, that was the first time I've ever eaten it raw like that. And it wasn't what I was expecting. It was not what I mean. It was like it was biting my tongue. It was not what I was expecting. Roar Bullies, what is the oldest you will buy a pup at where you can still train and grow with the family? I'll take in adult dogs. I'll take in adult dogs based off of that dog's temperament because I'm bringing it into my household with my wife and kids. Um, so there's really no age limit for me, especially when I was dealing with working dogs. I didn't have a problem bringing in, older dogs. Now, let's say we're thrower bullies, dealing with bullies. I pretty much, because I'm new to the breed, um, I want them all as pups. 4 to 6, so I'd say about 6 months would probably be the oldest. I want to know what that dog was before it started maturing. Um, I'm kind of have a lot of ideas now and a better concept. So I would say a couple more breedings and watching our litters and how they maintain towards our vision of that specific breeding and then our overall vision. I would say within a year, I'll probably reach a point that I would take an adult bully. But other breeds, pit bulls, German shepherds, Rottweilers, Cane Corsos, Greyhounds, Bull Lurchers, Jack Russells, I'll take an adult dog, no problem. I just have to be around that dog first. And yeah, we've taken in adult dogs before. Let's see. I eat jalapeno pickles with salt as a snack. See, I love jalapenos. Kentucky Fried Chicken by my house, and only the one by my house, used to have these jalapenos that were like pickles. I used to be addicted to those things. And then they had them for years. You go to any other Kentucky Fried Chicken, they didn't have the same ones. And then about 2 years ago, they no longer had them. They had the same jalapenos as everybody. Like these jalapenos were just crisp. They were like pickles. They didn't even have wrinkles in them. About 2 years ago, I went there, got jalapenos to eat with my food. And right when I looked at them, I was like, these ain't the same. And they knew exactly what I was talking about. Other Kentucky Fried Chickens have no idea what I'm talking about. But that one used to have the best. Smooth said a lot of great dogs come from kink tail dogs. This is true. Total with the micro and nano, there's no telling what to mix up. All right, exactly. Smooth, you're correct. The tail is an easy fix, in my opinion. I agree. Um, from being sick and you just have to watch it. Like I said, some people say that spine in the tail, that kink in the tail, it can turn next generation to a kink in the spine. I haven't seen proof of that, and I haven't seen proof that it doesn't. You know what I mean? But that's just what I grew up on. Anytime a dog had a kink tail, excuse me, especially if it was closer to the rear, and not from an injury, we wouldn't breed it. because we didn't want that kink to be like we were told on the spine next time. From being sick and these puppies in FB jail, you always in Facebook jail. Toda said, Pitbull Bell, I know someone selling pug bulldog mixes, and that's what you see just about all micros. Yeah, it is doing too much. Now I've seen some that were over a few generations bred to be shorter, taking the smallest pup to another smallest pup. But when you just make that jump and that leap, I'm just gonna breed this to this to get a small micro or nano, whatever they call them. It's too much. And anytime a dog's stomach and a male dog's genitals are touching the ground when it's walking, that's a no-go. That's a problem. So I want to know, how do they have papers? They get papers from paper hanging. They register them with UKC if they can't find another kennel until they started getting registries that would register them. They would register them as pit bulls with the UKC, or register them as American bullies with the UKC or ABKC on hung papers. If they were requested to send in a picture, they go to the internet, they type in pit bull, and they take a picture from there. And that's what a lot of them were doing. But wait, what was the money for though? Was it a fundraiser organization? I don't know. Wasn't it? That's a Raul situation. Um, so I have no idea. Toda, very sad and all for money. Probably won't live 2 years. That's the problem with those breedings. Pugs have brain issues. Yep. You gambling extra bad with pugs. There was one pug that used to always be at Dog Beach here in Huntington Beach, California. And you get there and it's like probably about shit. On a hot day, a good day, it could be easy 1,000 dogs that are just running around off leash. But I'd say 500 to 1,000. Um, but there used to be this pug there that was actually dope. I still had the curl tail, still had the pug head and face, but he was lean, a little longer legged, um, had a tuck. He was a dope little dog, and he was outrunning a lot of dogs. Like, he just did not act like a pug. Let's see here. Toda said, I have nothing against the micro community. They're just not for me. I love my Excel. Same here. I don't mess with the micros. Toda, that community is all about money, no morals, ethics, or conscience. Donnie Schmidt said, got a 10-month, 120-pound American bulldog who isn't aggressive but is extremely protective. Is that something I should reel in? It depends. When you say extremely protective, as a protective dog, my dog should be able to socialize with strangers. If the dog is not able to socialize with strangers, then you need to bring that in. Cardi Bull is very protective of home and family. If I were to let her off leash and ran away from her without her knowing I ran, and a person approached her and she looked around and didn't see me, she'd probably be cool. If I'm there, or my wife or my kids are there, she's a little more observant of the person. Same thing when she's at home. Once she takes on, this is my home. Matter of fact, we were at my mom's house a few months back, and took her about an hour to decide, okay, this is the place I'm protecting. So when she was out in the yard, it was became her yard. But she's very protected. She's a very protective driven dog, a very defense driven dog. Um, she is she will not allow herself to be dominated by anything other than us here, us as a family. But when she's in an environment where she's thinking, okay, people are going to be petting me, she's 100% fine. But if we're just chilling out in front of the house, she's on leash, and somebody comes up to pet her, they might get a quick growl. She's going to let them know. Now, once I check her, then she's cool. Then all of a sudden she'll play. But if she hasn't seen that formal introduction, me being cool with you, you addressing me, she's not going to let you touch her. She's not going to let you touch me. She needs to see you as a stranger, approach on a friendly level, me shake your hand, give you a hug. She needs to see something like that. When she sees that, then she's cool. Um, let's see, and American Bulldog facts. Donnie, a true American Bulldog typically are protected owner and territory at home, and that's fine. Just teach it who accept it, and you can exactly. And you got to remember, the American Bulldog had a job of not only handling stubborn bull cattle, but also protecting land away from stray dogs that were running in packs. That was one of the major of the American Bulldog back in the day. And some a lot of the time killing it, they just let it go, thinking they're tough, and they run into a yard thinking they're going to get it some chickens. You let your American Bulldog go, and Bulldog runs out there and handles business and runs them off. That was a lot of the purpose of the American Bulldog: guarding cattle, guarding property, protecting the owner. When the owner was out with its hounds, the American Bulldog stayed with the owner. They also did hog work. They were just a versatile. Mm-mm. Now, why is he out? Hold on, real quick. Sadie, Sadie, get her. Sadie. All right. So, that you have to remember the job of the American Bulldog, and they had a lot of different jobs, and they were bred. If my American Bulldog's great with helping with unruly cattle, and your American Bulldog's great with handling unruly cattle, then we're breeding those together. But then this guy over here, his dog is great at running off other dogs, strays off our property, and this guy's got American Bulldog. His is used for hog hunting. We're supposed to breed them separately, but then over time, as those jobs get lost, but we still like the breed, they start to intermingle together, start to be bred together. So you got a mixture of variety within the breed. Um, so they're a very versatile dog, and especially the Scott line of the American Bulldog. So you just want to, it's fine. You just want to make sure that the dog is able to accept strangers. What's up, girl? You out there acting up? Teach them to behave in public with a warning so you don't have an accident. There you go. Told us, so is an APBT and an Amstaff mix the original bully? No. The Amstaff is the watered down show version of the American Bully, but is still of the American Pit Bull Terrier. You got to remember, Colby's dogs were used to start off the. You had these game fighting dogs, the American Pit Bull Terrier. Curs weren't always killed. Some of them went to pet homes. Eventually, people decided we want to make the American Pit Bull Terrier with the AKC. This would be a great thing. AKC said, no, those are fighting dogs. And they said, well, what about dogs that we don't use for fighting? And they said, no. And then at some point they said, yeah, but you guys got to change the name. So they ran through various names, Yankee Dog, bunch of names. At some point they settled on the original heritage of the American Pit Bull Terrier, which was the Staffordshire Bull Terrier. And they changed the name for the show version to American Staffordshire Terrier. That's been about 80 years ago. Through 80 years of breeding for the show ring and other purposes other than fighting, they have become a totally separate breed, but are very closely related. To the point where the American Staffordshire Terrier is not as resistant to illness and disease as the American Pit Bull Terrier still is when it's bred strictly to pit bulls. So you can't take two dogs that are so closely related, American Pit Bull Terrier, breed it to an American Staffordshire Terrier, and create a new breed. Because then all you're doing is creating another American Staffordshire Terrier, because that's all it is, a watered down version of the Pit Bull. So you breed a Staffordshire to a Pit Bull, you're just going to get a Staffordshire with a little more drive. That's it. You're not going to get a new breed from doing that. and you can't get a new breed from doing that. You got to mix something else in, with meaning that you could have left the pit bull out of it and just bred the Staffordshire to whatever that something else is, or left the Staffordshire out of it and just bred the pit bull to whatever this other thing is. Yeah, he is 100% and dual registered, but he is super protective. So that's what they say. But if you talk to John Easterly, Cruz, all the guys that truly was there from the beginning, yeah, and these dogs started off as staffs, but they started mixing them with other things to get more bone, thicker dog, bigger head, especially when it came to Gotti line. You look at the original Juan Gotti, who started Gotti line, he's nothing like the rest of the Gotti line dogs. They started mixing them in. They'll tell you 4 breeds were in there. Yeah, I think it was a little bit of everything. Any Staffordshire they could mix with any working bulldog, working variety bulldog, whether it actually worked, working breed of bulldog, whether it actually worked or not, or any mastiff, and then it all just came together. So it's just a big lump of a bunch of various mastiffs, various bulldogs to Staffordshire. There's very little pit bull in the American bully. Then as time went on, a few other breeds were added. Then obviously the exotic. Exactly. She's 3. She's just done breeding. Okay, so she's 3 years old. You're going to spade a female at 3 years old. Chances are she won't change. Let's see here. Short shot was a staff bull. So Staffy, so he started off as and he looks like he has Staffy bull bred into him. Donnie Schmidt said, breeder told me not to fix my dog before 18 months for health benefits. Yes, you want their hormones to kick in. If you pay attention, a lot of people will get their dogs fixed early, and the dogs are skinnier and leaner, sometimes even less intelligent than the rest of the pups from that exact same litter that were never neutered or spayed. This is true. Wait till the dog is about 18 months old, 18 to 24 months old, and then go ahead and neuter it at that point. And that way it doesn't stop the development of the dog genetically as far as bone, muscle, girth, the expansion of the rib cage, expansion of the head, the skull. So yeah, always wait 18 to 24 months. But probably not going to fix them anyway. They started by using the APBT and AM staff. But see, the reason I called those dogs AM staffs anyway is because they were the UKC version of the pit bull, which is basically the AKC version of the AM staff. And a lot of those dogs that were crossed back then were what pit bull people would call AM staff, even though they were registered as UKC pit bulls. I just want to take her out of the reproductive cycle. Oh, well, there you go. That's your only point, then cool. Or just keep her in her cage when she goes in heat. She ain't aggressive inside the pack. She just runs it. There you go. That typical female. Mark, what style APBT, ADBA, or AKC or UKC amp staff? If ADBA, you won't be able to cut it out if true APBT. Very true. I think my boy is 12. Is a 12. Look at you, Donnie. You can't change the threshold diagram, dude. Pretty high pitch. Is there any reason to stop natural dewormers for a pregnant dam? I don't mess with dewormers once she's pregnant. I try to deworm them and get them on antibiotics before they are bred, do the breeding, and then I leave all that stuff alone. I leave all of that stuff alone until after those pups start nursing from her. So I personally avoid the deworming and all that stuff. And when you say natural dewormers, I don't know what kind you're talking about because carrots assist in deworming. There's certain seeds, pumpkin seeds assist in deworming. So now those things are fine. But as far as something bought from the store that calls itself a natural dewormer, I would stop on a pregnant female. I have an APBT and staff mix. She's 108 pounds, healthy, solid. Check out, check out my page. I just did a short with her. Tell me what you think. Hey, send me a link on either through IG, Thrower Bullies Instagram, or on Thrower Bullies Facebook. Send me a link, or my Daryl Thor page on Facebook. Send me a link so I can check that out. Donnie, if you're not breeding, fixing her young as possible will eliminate all types of issues, especially 2 types of cancer. That is another issue. I've never been into fixing dogs. All my dogs have lived a long time without ever being fixed, including my females. But they do say that it does help prevent different types of cancer. Mine's a DIY, might breed them, but with mine's a boy, might breed them, but with American Bulldogs, they're so bug joints. What, Donnie? What are you saying? Bug joints and bone issues. There's so, I'm going to say, many joints and bone issues and lots of health problems if you fix before 18 months. Yes, very true. You got to remember, they're growth plates, especially on our larger dogs. And we're talking, actually, not even just larger dogs, medium to large dogs. Their growth plates are just finally connecting at about 18 months. That's why they say, especially with large breeds, keep it easy with the exercise and the running, the jumping, and the flopping around. Because if this is the hip joint and it's supposed to be in there like that, it's like this. Then it's like this. Then it's like this. Then it's like this. Then about 18 months, it finally settles in. The muscles are built to keep it in, help keep it in place, and it, and it becomes locked in around that age. So if you spade or neuter a dog at an early age, it's gonna help mess up a lot of development. Total, I've seen some nice big healthy APVT and times American Amstab mixes, but usually a bit human aggressive. But that's the thing, you're taking the drive of that part of the game. Now you did have dogs that would bite people, but part of gameness was the fact that we needed to bathe each other's dogs to make sure you didn't put poison on your dog. I would bathe your dog to make sure I didn't put poison on my dog or something that tastes horrible on my dog. You would bathe my dog. We bring them into the ring. We let them go. When it comes time to break them up, I might need your help. You might need my help. I might grab your dog. You might grab my dog. You know what I mean? So the pit bull was bred to be able to handle extremely intense situations while being touched by the human hand. That was the purpose in it. Because if I got bit by your dog while we're breaking them up, guess what? You just lost your bet. And all those side bets, they lost theirs too. When you bred out gameness, and that's why I say, remember, we were talking earlier about when you're bringing down a drive, make sure you're replacing it with the higher version of another drive. Because when you bred out gameness, what they did was they removed that tolerance for the human hand in an intense situation. Those curs, if they were protective, they were kept, and used to protect. So you started creating something else other than the temperament of the pit bull. So Belinda Pitbull Bell is 100% right when she says that. That is when you start seeing the aggressive dogs called pit bulls. She's not aggressive. She's very vocal. She loves to be pet. There you go. Check her out when you have time. Yeah, make sure to send it to me. Mark McKinnon said, my absence, she runs the pack. If my male keeps talking when he should be listening, he might get a fang in his ass. I don't want to escalate this by fixing her. Donnie, yes, the larger ones are prone to hip issues around 6 to 7 if they're working hard, but most times they blow a knee first on them big ones. This is true. I also don't want to reduce her prey drive. We work in vermin with her. Yeah, see, I would leave her be. Damn it. Well, there we go. I would leave her be. Where are they posted? Yeah, we don't feed dogs who don't work over here. There you go. Right, Donnie, earn that kibble. Always, Daryl. There's many of us that are here to help. Bell Facts, peace and blessings. What's up, Grow Logic 420? Just there to soak up the knowledge. We feed raw, no kibble though. Okay, Donnie, if I'm not mistaken, you were also the one that asked about the deworming on a pregnant female. Now I'm forgetting if that was your question or not. What I would say, if that's, I don't do raw other than raw ground beef. But let's say you did say natural dewormer, and I think you're the same person. But let's say you are the same person. I still would lay off of it, feed the raw, and then just bring once the pups are off the nipple, go ahead, deworm them, deworm her, and you should be good. I might be getting two topics or questions confused. Um, Peace and blessing. Kings of Bully Excellence. What's up, man? Thanks for joining in. Let's see here. Tapped in from Montana. Yes, Donnie, you have to earn it no matter what you feed. What is Rob's page name? Robert McCormick. I gotta hit him up and make sure that it was, because I've been thinking for months that it was Bashar, but I can't find it on his page. So I gotta make sure that it was him. Kings of Bully Excellence. And I think his name is Bashir. Maybe that's why I'm typing it wrong. Ron McCoy's or KTK Bully is 2 pages exactly, and that's the other thing I can't figure out which one it was. What's up? I'll find it though. What's up, peoples? What I miss? We just been on here talking dogs and temperament, especially when it comes to dominance drive. KK, cool things, Bell. Let's see. I was about to say I don't remember Bashar, only Eddie and with China Boy, and dude owns 5150. I might be getting him mixed up with the 5150 dude. I gotta hit up Rob because he was talking to Bashar. We were supposed to do it, but I might be getting Bashar mixed up with the 5150 dude. Because this whole thing of Bashar doing the live went on for like a week, and I want to say we did it. We may not have, but I don't look at him as the big figure everybody else does, so that's why I'm getting confused. Gonna get it flamed, but I hate micro. Y'all better leave the micros alone. Y'all gonna end up getting bit by one. What do you think about the bully cat? I saw that. Is that the one? I want to say it was the one that was furless. Um, I don't know. He was a mess to me. I think it was a mess. Dogs came and breed English bulldogs too. Three Amigos Bully Camp, Fayetteville, North Carolina. How's it going? Great information. What's up, Three Amigos? Thanks for joining in. Donnie, I absolutely am disgusted with exotic mic. I've seen some exotics that I like a little better. Dealing with that community and being cool with so many people in that community, I get what people like about them because you get this little buff dog as far as image, but it's still little. And if it gets off leash and runs, you can still catch it. So I get that. Yeah, I get that. You know, to me, the exotic should be trying to be what the shorty bull is, which is a smaller, healthier version of the English bulldog. And I see some of them going that route. Um, it's just so many people in that community that hold it back due to the fact they're just so many of them are just in it for money, and that messes up all things of creativity and art or discipline are always messed up when money gets involved. That bully cat is sad, but honestly looks better than dogs. It's sad. It's just straight destroying animals, but that's what it is. They're destroying animals. Facts make me mad. People are trying to ruin the true American bulldog now too. No, it's the Rottweiler, the Cane Corso. Um, the luckily the Cane Corso has several different. I want to say about 4 different lines. Um, yeah, the American, and then I want to say there's 3 different lines that are straight from Italy, and I cannot think of their names right now. Um, But yeah, a lot of dogs are being ruined just because, and it's the internet. It's the internet. No different than music. Music's getting ruined because of the internet. You're able before you didn't. If you really liked something, you had to go pursue it to get it, and it had a machine or some way of being in a position for you to get it, and that tended to be the best of the best. Not always, but that's what it tended to be. Now people are able to make money just by throwing them out there and over marketing and over promoting them. And if these 100 people don't like it, eventually I'll look up and find 1,000 people over here that like it. And now I'm making money off something that's a piece of crap. And that's just the world we're in now. Yeah, see, but all the KFCs didn't have those same jalapenos. Those things were I want one right now. And I remember talking to the lady at the drive-through, and she said they just got in a new batch and they weren't the same. She said the packaging was the same, everything about them was the same, but the except for the jalapeno. And I don't know, they just changed that. I would even go there sometimes just to get the jalapenos and come home and eat them with whatever we were eating for dinner, especially if I was on my way from work. Yes, I believe Michaels are a waste. They don't even live long. Yeah, anything that don't live long is a waste. And it doesn't make sense because you're taking these puppies, and we've also the problem with the breeds also is this is a breed, including American bullies, where it's just breeders breeding the breeder. I mean, breeders selling dogs to breeders. Everybody's just in it for money. It's like this big pyramid scheme, and so there's no complaints. You know what I mean? I'm a known breeder. I sell you a piece of shit dog. It dies in 5 years, and you're afraid to complain about it because I'm at the top of the pyramid. I'm at a higher part of the pyramid scheme than you are. So, and that's what happens. Whereas if we were selling them to pet owners who are out buying dogs, Rottweilers, Pit Bulls, German Shepherds, American Bullies, exotics, whatever it is, they would complain because they've got these other two dogs that are living long, yet this one's dying. And so the word just isn't getting out because most of the dog masses don't even know the exotic, the micros, and the American bullies exist. We're kind of in our own world right now. So the complaints that should be there to regulate us aren't really there. The vets know we exist, but it's a problem when you're just selling breeders to breeders because then the people are just in it for the money. When you relocate, are you considering taking in dogs that have been retired as a forever home? No, I will be 150% focused on American bullies. We've been doing bullies for about 5 years, but when I say we've been doing bullies, that means more training, conditioning, seeing what they excel at, what they don't excel at, protection. Justice has gone hunting a few times. Cardi Bull's done rabbit hunting. A little bit of raccoon. Justice has gone bear hunting. We've just been for the last 5 years. We've been focused on comparing bullies to what we're used to. We then, after about 3 years of it, we did a couple breedings to see what we get. We like the consistency of the temperament of what we were able to get from it. We already pretty much understood the physical portion, how to get what they're looking for in the bully world. So that part we got. That just comes along with breeding dogs. Our concern is well, all right. Our concern was the variety of looks, not even the variety of looks, but the variety of flaws and the variety of temperaments. So I think we've got that down pat. I got a pup I can't wait to pick up soon. And then we'll start giving the bully world a little bit more of what they like. But it will be balanced with what we like because we got all the dogs to get what we like. Now it's time to give the bully world what they like. And so we got two dogs we're picking up soon for that. Got a female. She's almost 2 years old. Matter of fact, that'll be one of the bullies I'm picking up. She's almost two. I'll be picking her up. We were talking about getting older dogs earlier, and we got a pup that we'll be getting. And Yeah, so then we'll start going the route that the bully world looks, but now we've got the dogs we need to get what we want out of an American bully. So now it's time to go the bully world route, but maintain the temperament, the ability, and somewhat of the appearance that we like. So I can't wait, but I just got to move. So that breeder is holding the dogs for me until we move, and then once we move, I'll be making a trip to go pick those dogs up. And yeah, I can't wait. But I won't be taking in dogs that won't be bred due to the fact we have dogs we won't be breeding any longer, and they have their own purposes as far as protecting the home. Um, there are family dogs, but now I won't be randomly taking in any dog unless it's to be bred. I've been watching American Bulldog decline bad over 15 years. Yeah, especially the Johnson American Bulldog. I still see a lot of good Scots. I came across a guy. I've only seen pictures. I don't know their performance. He's got some painter American Bulldogs, but I've only seen pictures. Talked to the dude on the phone. He actually hit me up about a consultation, and but we end up talking it so much. I think we are on the phone like 4 hours. This is a couple weeks ago, but he's got some. He breeds painter American Bulldogs. Just got into it. He wants to kind of bring a rebirth back to him, but he has some great looking specimens. He sent me pictures and videos of. I don't know their performance though. As far as the Scots, I still see some good ones. The Johnson though, man, they're going downhill bad. But they're treated. They have it's that American bully mentality with when it comes to the Johnson. Yeah, definitely is seen a Merle when yesterday someone swore was 100% American Bulldog, a Merle one. We'll be answering questions about the hairless bully in a few months. Yeah, I think that dude, what's his name, Kenny something or Ken something. I think he's making a comeback with his creation. I used to hold back on him, but you know, it is what it is. If you're dealing with other breeds, yes, fine issues, but with what's in the bullies, the kink isn't a problem. Now, why would you say that though? Is that because of the bulldog in them that we're not worried about it? Why would you say that? Donnie Schmidt said, my guys 10 months can breathe and move all day, work, then go and let my 5-year-old jump all over him. That's how a dog should be. And I know you guys have heard me say it before. I always use Kayla as an example. Kill coyotes, kill raccoons, anything you sent her after she was on it. Same time my daughter's hamster got loose. She had never been around it before other than going into my daughter's room. It got loose, was in the yard. She caught it, brought it back to the front door. Um, can I breed that again? Can I create that again to that extreme? I'm not going to say that, but I think that should be all of our aim as breeders. Oh no, I died when I seen an American Bulldog that was Merle. Yeah, it's okay. So you take an American Bulldog, you want it to be Merle, so you bred it to what, a Catahoula or a Alapaha, and now it's Merle. So this is not a new breed, so therefore you no longer have an American Bulldog anymore. You don't have an Alapaha anymore, and you don't have a Catahoula anymore. So you just have a mixed dog at that point. I found out that inbreeding half brother and half sister will make the dog shorter. Not necessarily. It depends. Um, Inbreeding doesn't always create a shorter, stockier dog. If it doesn't, your very next one definitely will. But it doesn't always, it's not going to always give it to you. Now, if you have done line breeding first and then an inbreeding, you'll usually get a shorter, stockier dog. But if you're just taking dogs that are half brother, half sister, you breed them together, you're not necessarily going to get a shorter, stockier dog if there was no line breeding done before that. And that's exactly why as game dog people hate it. Yeah, I agree. Not always Ace 900. There you go. See how Belinda should be right before me. Donnie, he is okay as long as people stay like arm's length away from his family. So he's a protective dog, but he's also a portion of that is beyond. If I'm not a threat, then your dog's not being protective. He's being dominant over his family. So I would say you need to. It can come in handy for protection, but that's not really protection. Protection is when my dog sees something that's a threat. And my dog should be intelligent enough to decipher what's a threat and what's not. So, for instance, most band dogs, unless they're just bred to attack everybody, but most band dogs are bred to be cool with strangers, unless they're told to attack. And they'll attack a person that's just sitting down reading a book if they're bred correctly. Um, but a stranger should be able to approach you. May not be able to engage with the dog, but they should be able to approach you. So with today's dominance drive, you're dealing with a dominance issue. If a person is approaching and there is no threat, but they still have to stay away from me, that's a dominance issue. That is a dog that doesn't want me associating with other things. And the best way to do that is to drive back that other thing. That's a dominant issue. Protection issue. Kids he is good with. But now he's good with kids. So, so I would look at that as the dog is not threatened by the adults. So this is not a protective issue, but he's almost in somewhat of an insecure way looking at it as I'm going to dominate my family because you're big enough to possibly have the ability to dominate me away from my family. So I'm ready to fight for it off bat. I'm not worried about you hurting my family because if they're coming arm's length away, as you said, as long as people are arm's length away, yeah, people are friendly. They're not showing any displays of a threat. They're coming towards you. The kids can keep coming because they're smaller. They can't separate me from my family. The adults can't come any closer because they're larger. There's an insecurity there where he thinks somehow he can be separated from you guys, so therefore adults have to stay back. Like I used to have a Rottweiler that didn't love kids, love women, but he could not stand men that he did not know. Strange women, strange kids, he was cool. But strange men, he did not. He did not. He wouldn't let them near me or himself. I never looked at that as him being protective. There was an insecurity there. You know what I mean? Now, was he a protective dog? Extremely. But out in public, he was always friendly with people as long as it wasn't a man. And there's more descriptions to that man. I'm just not going to go into it on Facebook. But there are men that fit this certain description. He would not allow them around us because he wasn't used to being around himself or around me. Um, but I never looked at that as him being protective. I looked at it as an insecurity that I needed to figure out. Why is it these types of men that trigger him? And but it was due to lack of socializing with those types of men. So I'll say that. Donnie, that's a good thing in my opinion. It's what they're supposed to do. Depends if it's protective, but that doesn't sound like protective. If somebody's not a threat, then it's not protection. Yeah, mine is a hybrid, classic, and standard mix. Facts. Kobe registered his imports with AKC. Yep. They called them Yankee Terriers at first, but then changed it to American Staffordshire Terrier. How far behind am I? 6:55. Damn. So I'm like 40 minutes behind. So we're gonna go ahead and shut it down. We'll be back next Tuesday. I kind of promise. And we'll be there with the next drive that we're gonna be talking about. Thank y'all for tuning in. We out late.